All right, notes 4.4 are on graphing lines using equations. All right, so if you see on your paper, it says look at the equations that are shown to you, and then it also says write down some observations. Please listen very carefully. I will not be writing down any observations. It is your responsibility to make sure you fill out the observations that you notice. So it will be blank on my screen. It will not be blank on your page. You're going to be responsible for filling out the information. So the first graph that I want you guys to look at is this one right here, y equals 2x plus 3. I'm going to graph it out. And I want you guys to notice some information right here. First of all, I want you to notice right here, here's a point where I know it started right here. So this can be my starting point. If I wanted to find the slope, I would have to do rise over run. So this is going up 2 and over 1, up 2 and over 1. Or I could say it's going up 4 and over 2. So if I were to write this out, I would know that the slope, which is the rise over the run, is 2 over 1, which equals 2. Now, if you notice, the equation of this line has a 2 in it. Do you see this 2 times x? So this should make sense to you because the slope is always something per something. So this is 2 y's for every 1 x. So see here, this is 2 for every x. That's what this is saying. 2 for every x, 2 y's for every 1 x. Now the question is, where did the 3 come from? Well, hopefully you noticed right here, the 3 is where it crosses the y-axis at. So the y-intercept, remember we discussed this before, the y-intercept is 3. So now if you guys take a look at the next equation, y equals negative 3x plus 7, you should be able to realize right here what the slope should be. So the slope, remember, is always the number in front of the x. So right here, the slope is x. So I'm going to say m equals negative 3, but it's negative 3 over 1. And then the y-intercept is this positive 7. So that means it should start at 7 right here. So this is where it's going to start. And then it's going to go down 3 because the rise is 3, and to the right 1 because the run is 1. And then down 3 and to the right 1. So let's see if that's really true. So we're going to graph this out. Let's make sure we graph out the right one. So graph our function, it started at 7 and went down 3 to the right 1, down 3 and to the right 1. Okay, some pretty cool stuff. So let's go ahead and look at this one right here. Let's graph that one out. So we're going to graph this function out, and let's see where it crosses the y-axis at. Well, it crosses at negative 5, okay? And then the slope, the rise is down 2 and to the right 3 is the run, so it's negative 2 over 3. So here we can say, since the rise is negative 2 and the run is 3, that our slope is negative 2/3. But we can say the opposite as well. We can say that this is up 2, so I'm allowed to say that here the slope is positive 2. And then the run, it went to the left 3, 1, 2, 3. So since it went to the left 3, it's negative 3. It doesn't matter which number is negative as long as only one number is negative. A very common mistake is that people will think that they're both negatives. But if they're both negatives, it would become a positive, and then the line would be going up this way instead of going down that way. All right? Now, the last one that we have here, if you guys notice, the y equals 4 is my equation, but there's no x there. So what's the coefficient in front of the x? Well, if there's no x, then the coefficient is 0. So the slope is 0. Hopefully remember that any line that has a slope of 0 will always be horizontal, okay? And then this plus 4, it's technically like this, 0x plus 4, right? That's the same thing as y equals 4 that we have here. So that means that the y-intercept, the starting amount, is 4. So it goes at 4 and then it just goes straight across. Let's see if our prediction is true. It is. All right. So do not forget that you need to write your own observations right here. I am not writing it down for you. So if you need to go back and rewind and rewatch so you can get your observations down, I will be checking for this next time I see you in class. Okay. Now, slope-intercept form is always going to be in the following equation. Y equals mx plus b. Now this should look familiar to you because we have talked about this a little bit. Please write down that m stands for, you should know that it stands for the slope, and that b stands for the y-intercept. Your y-intercept is going to be your starting amount, okay? So just like you learned last year in Math 7, you learned y equals kx, where k was the constant of proportionality, but that's the same thing as your slope. And then your y-intercept is always 0. It starts at the origin, okay? So let's take a look and see what we have right here. In number 1, graph the following lines on the set of axes below. So the first thing we need to do is get it in slope-intercept form where the y is by itself. So here the y is not by itself, but it's really easy to get the y by itself. All I have to do is divide everything by 3. So divide by 3 here, divide by 3 here, and divide by 3 here. You end up getting y equals 4x minus 7, because 12 divided by 3 is 4, and negative 21 divided by 3 is 7. So your equation in slope-intercept form is y equals 4x minus 7 because the y is by itself. Now, here's where you have to be really careful. The general equation we said was y equals mx plus b. So the number in front of the the number in front of the x, the coefficient of the x is your slope. It's the m. So your slope is 4, but it has to be written as a fraction, so the denominator is invisible. It's 4 over 1. Now don't forget that slope really means just the rise over the run. So this means it's going to go up 4 and it's going to go over 1. It's the rise over the run, okay? And then the y-intercept is the b value, the extra number that's added on right here. So the extra number added on right here is negative 7. So that means I would start at negative 7. Don't forget that your y-intercept is your starting point. Please be careful and make sure that you start on the y-axis, okay? Because it's the y-intercept. So literally, once I've done that, it's so much faster to graph out our lines because all I have to do is figure out where I start and how much I go up and over by. So right here, my starting amount is negative 7 on the y-axis. So I go to negative 7 on the y-axis and I put a dot there. Nice and easy. Now the slope is 4 over 1. It's the rise over the run. So that means that you rise, you go up by 4. So if you look right here, I'm going to start right here. I'm going to go up by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the run is how much you go over by. Well, this is saying that I go over by 1. So I would go over 1. And then I put a dot right there, okay? You're going to put multiple dots until you run out of room, okay? So look right here, this slope right here again is rise is 4, run is 1. So I'm going to go up 4 and to the right 1. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right 1, I can put a dot right there and then I'm good to go for that. I'm going to keep going until I run out of room. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then over 1. Here's my last dot. I don't have any more room, so I'm going to connect my dots, and this will be my line. Make sure you have a line by making your line go all the way through, from the bottom all the way until you get to the top, okay? And also, you need to make sure that you write your, you draw your arrows on your line, and that you write your equation on the line. So y equals 4x minus 7, you must write that on the line, okay? All right, let's take a look at number 2. I want to graph out question number 2, but in order to be able to do that, I need to get the y alone. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this negative 2x right here. The way you would get rid of it is by adding 2x to both sides, because negative 2x plus positive 2x cancel each other out. So you end up getting negative 8y equals 2x minus 24, or negative 24 plus 2x. It's up to you how you want to do this, okay? Then you're going to divide both sides by negative 8. Every term gets divided by negative 8, okay? So you end up getting y equals, now when I divide negative 24 by negative 8, you get positive 3. And then when you divide 2 by negative 8, it does not divide evenly. I know it's going to be a negative number because it's a positive over a negative. Now I'm going to figure out what is 2/8 when I reduce it. Well, they're both divisible by 2, so you end up getting 1/4. So this is minus 1 over 4x. Okay, so the equation in slope-intercept form is y equals 3 minus 1/4 x. Now, this is where I'm scared you're going to get a little bit confused. So if you don't understand this, make sure you rewind it and rewatch what it is that I'm saying. The slope, a lot of people will look at this and think the 3 is the slope because it's the first number. But remember, the equation is y equals mx plus b. And whatever the coefficient is in front of the x is going to be your slope. So in this example, the slope is not 3, it's actually negative 1/4. Okay, so it's negative 1/4. Remember, this is the rise over the run. Okay, and then the y-intercept is always going to be whatever the b value is, the constant, the number that's by itself. So in this example, your b value would be 3. Okay, so that means that I need to start at 3. Remember, your y-intercept is your starting point. Okay, I need to start at 3 on my y-axis. So I'm going to put a dot right at 3. Now, the slope we said was negative 1/4. Because it's a negative, only one number is allowed to be negative. If you have both numbers be negative, then they cancel each other out and become positives. And that is not the slope that we want. We want a negative 1/4. So if I choose the numerator to be negative, the denominator must be positive. So this means that the rise is down 1. So I'm going to go down 1. All right, and this right here means that the run is positive 4, so I'm going to go to the right 4. So I'm going to go down 1 and to the right 4, and this is where my first dot is. Okay, let's try it again. You would go down 1 and to the right 4. Now notice you run out of room. So what can I do in order to graph out more points? Well, I can make the 1 positive. But if I make the 1 positive, that means the 4 has to be negative. So I'm going to go the opposite direction. Okay, again, only one of these numbers is allowed to be negative. So if I make the 1 positive, my rise is up 1, and then my run is to the left 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll go to the left 4 right here, and I will put a dot right there. So there is my line right here. So if I connect my dots, this is what I get. Notice how if you went down 1 and to the right 4, it's the same thing as going up 1 and to the left 4. It's your choice how you want to do it. Did you put arrows on your line? Also, did you write your equation on your line as well? All right. So make sure you do both things. Hopefully that makes sense to you. This is key in order to be successful for this unit and future units. So if you don't understand something, make sure you ask me. All right, have a good day.